I don't think there's anything better than looking over and seeing an athlete come to their parent and so excited about the things that they did, and to see their face light up, and then to see that mirrored in the parent, to see the athlete like flourish there. I've seen the opposite of that, the sinking almost that the athlete does when the parent of the athlete is like, that's just not good enough.
The Get There is a podcast about the journey behind the jersey, the unseen years before the scholarships, the rankings, and the bright lights. In each episode, we sit down with the parents and coaches who walked alongside exceptional athletes as they grew from white-eyed kids into disciplined, top 3% Division I competitors. These are the people who showed up early, stayed late, made hard choices, and quietly shaped greatness long before the world was watching. Through honest conversations, our guests share the strategies that work, the struggles that tested them, and the unique perspective of watching potential slowly turn into performance. We talk about belief and boundaries, pressure and patience, setbacks and resilience. Whether you're a parent, a coach, or anyone invested in long-term growth, the Get There explores what it truly takes to support an athlete, not just to win, but to become.
Hi, I'm RaeAnne Belnap with Allegiant Fastpitch. I'm a parent, coach, and trainer. I train a lot of athletes in Utah. I live in Evanston, and I have the privilege of having athletes, softball athletes especially. My oldest plays at BYU, has played softball since she was about 8, and then my junior athlete plays at Orem High, and just get to talk to Brad about the process of growing athletes and trying to do that in a healthy way, and recruiting and making sure that they turn out to be great human beings.
My genuine approach to this is I want to raise men.
Yeah.
And I want to raise a woman.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, if you approach sport properly, it's like what environment, I don't know, I'm pretty old fashioned, so I think about like the 1800s. It's like men taught their boys how to be men by going out on the farm.
Yeah.
And if they didn't go out on the farm, they died. It's like if we don't create our food or hunt this animal or raise this cow, your mom and your sisters are dead.
Yeah, yeah.
So you had to. It was like the environment forced you to have this environment. Well, now it's really easy to get food for the most part.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do I either got to send my kid to war or he's got to go play 8U baseball.
Yeah, yeah.
And which can be war sometimes.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
But the failure and having the tears and having them pick themselves up and say, yeah, I want to do, and striking out, and then going, well, I'm going to learn how to hit the ball better. Like I can't at this age. I don't know, something that's harder. I told Noah, we went back and forth with her a bunch on whether or not, because there was a little bit of like, she had to switch teams a couple times, and she was really young when she started playing, and the first team she was on like jumped up to 12U really quick, and she just wasn't ready, and it's been a little bit emotional, and there were days where I was like, if you want to quit, you can quit. I sat her down the other day and I said, I will never let you quit playing softball. And she goes, what? And I go, it's the only thing that's hard for you.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that's like hard. School's not that hard.
Yeah.
You know, friendships are a little more natural, but it's like softball is really hard. And she can just walk out on the field and be average by nature. But if she wants to be good at it, she's going to have to really, really work at it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not going to let you quit.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for like wanting our kids to go through hard things, and like Ashton, you know, she's had hard things, but they really weren't. They were educational, not softball related. And I tell her all the time, like, you handle hard because of those scenarios you've been put through. So when things get hard, remind yourself, like, I've been here, done this. I know how to handle hard and persevere. And I agree with you 100% that baseball and softball are a really good game because of the failure rate. If we allow it, I think that's the biggest thing. If we allow it as parents for our kids to fail, it really does open up the opportunity for them to grow and to handle hard and later on in their life, because they're gonna face it.
Well, and it's inspired so many like bedtime conversations about life.
Yeah.
And it's always like, hey man, like, just so you know,
Yeah.
You're going to deal with this when you're a dad.
Yeah.
Or when you're going to college, or when you're in high school. Like, you're going to get benched, metaphorically, in life. And you got to decide, you know? So, RaeAnne, tell me a little bit about your athletic background.
So I grew up in Oklahoma. Started with baseball when I was young, probably 8 years old or so. Went in and started playing softball in 6th grade in Oklahoma City, and then played a little bit of rec comp, and then got into the high school age, tried out for high school team, made the high school team, and not great at that time. But learned a lot, got picked up on a comp team as well. My comp coach, his daughters played on my high school team, and then played for 4 years. I was an outfielder, a little bit at first, and then went off and played at Coffeyville Community College for a year, and then went home for a boy.
Whoops.
Yeah. But it's good news after that,
great.
though. So.
Okay, so you have a few kids,
Yes,
a couple kids.
3.
One of them is currently playing for BYU,
Yes.
she's pitching, Kennedy. You said 3?
Yeah, 2 girls. So Kennedy is my oldest. She's going to be 21 in July. Okay. And then my middle kid, daughter, Ashton, is a junior. And then Levi is our only boy, and he's in 6th grade.
Okay.
So 12.
All right, is he playing ball?
No, he actually was like, I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Really?
He wrestled. Yeah,
Okay.
he wrestled a little bit. He thinks he wants to play football. But even if he did want to play, it would be, I don't know how we would do it, because we live in Evanston.
Yeah.
So it's like, how
There's
do we get
a
him
couple.
all?
There's a couple teams out there.
Yeah.
We see them. They come down.
Yep.
That's great. So how did Kennedy get introduced to sports? What was her early age like?
So when I got married, and then my husband's from Evanston, so we automatically just moved there and got pregnant with her right away after getting married. And I knew that I wanted to one of the things I wanted to do is just do something fun. And our Evanston rec league had a league, and I wanted to coach. And so I started coaching. I was I think at the time 8 months pregnant with her while I was coaching. And then I think I did that all the way up until she was probably 8, maybe 10. But then she started playing, and so that's how she started playing softball. She started in that league, and I would coach. And then there were a couple years where I didn't coach and somebody else coached her, but that's where she really started softball. And then we moved her to Utah, just knowing that she wanted to grow in the game, and there really wasn't a whole lot of opportunity to move outside of rec ball in Evanston.
Right.
So that's really where we started.
Did she play any other sports when she was younger?
Yes, so she's very athletic. So she's played basketball. She actually did wrestling with the boys. Yeah, she's legit. She wrestled with the boys in 6th grade because she wasn't able to do any other sports. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, you can't play basketball, you can't run track, you can swim. Oh, but you can wrestle with boys. And she was a pretty fierce competitor. There were some boys that were like, I don't want to wrestle her. Eventually basketball in 7th grade, wrestled in 6th grade. She did track. She also is very musically talented and plays piano and sax, things like that. But yeah, So
was there an age that, did she do all those sports throughout high school? Did she keep running track in high school?
Yeah, I think she ran track up until her senior year.
Okay.
Which really was never a problem because Evanston doesn't have a high school team. She was able to do those things, and then especially her freshman and sophomore year, we don't have a team, and so she would just do those spring sports. And then once her team was playing, she'd go and play with them, or do both if it was like comp ball plus track.
So she was multi-sport for the vast majority of her
I think
youth.
her senior year, she might have let go of track because by that time she was going to Colorado to play with Bombers Gold at that time. But she's played basketball.
What was she like early age, like 10, 11?
She's always been, I could even go back to just born, the day she was born, very bullheaded, fierce. She knows what she wants and she's gonna get it type of deal. Very competitive in sports, but not competitive in your face. Competitive, if there were, athletes that are put off by her, she wouldn't get in their face or anything like that, but very competitive.
Yeah.
Works hard, not an athlete that even though things would get hard, she wouldn't easily like give up on anything really.
Was she always like pretty dominant on the team she played?
Yeah, I would say here especially.
Okay.
I was, in Utah, I mean, here especially as far as pretty, I think her speed, she was pretty good at kind of mowing down hitters. But we found when we decided that in order to get her on the platform that she needed to be on to be recruited at the level she wanted to be recruited, and pushed her into Colorado, she started seeing hitters that she's not seen before, and but I think she transitioned well too. I think it was a good opportunity for growth for her, and I would say she's still dominated, but I think it took a little bit of time for her to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that was having a D1 athlete, like, was that a must-have for you?
No. Although I think it's easy to get lost in that, though.
Yeah.
Like, as you start to see recognize where their skill can take them, if they'll work hard, I think it's easy as a parent to go, oh yeah, you should.
Okay, so follow up to that is like, what age did you go? Okay, so you have a pretty robust history in softball. You coached for a long time, and you're raising your daughters, and you're seeing it. So, as a mom and as a coach, what was the age where you said, oh geez, Kennedy may have a shot?
Yeah. Probably, I would say maybe it's a two-tier answer. I am very much of the mind, like, no matter who you are, if you want to do something, you put your mind to it and you do the work, you can do whatever you want. That's what I believe. And so that's what we teach our kids, but that it's going to require work. So I think at a young age, when she, I know at probably 12, she was like, I want to go to OU. That was her first, dream school. And we were like, okay, you can do it. It's going to take work. This is what it's going to require of you. This is what it's going to require of us. But then as probably 14 is when I started to really feel like, okay, you have something that maybe not every athlete has as far as like skill set, speed as a pitcher, but also especially her work ethic, especially because, it's like for her, she had a few different pitching coaches throughout the years, and as you get exposed and you watch older athletes and you kind of go, okay, she's really good, who do you go to, right? And then expose your athlete to that pitching coach, and then we ended up finding a local pitching coach here, Rob Hales, and when we took her to him, I was like, she's so good, she's really good, she's fast, and you're probably not going to have to do a whole lot. And it was kind of like, actually, no, that's not the case. She has a lot of stuff to fix, and she does these things wrong. And so, I think the end of her junior year, she ended up tearing her rotator cuff, her labrum, posterior labrum, and that really, I think, defined: is she going to keep pushing for what she wants? Is that going to be the end all be all? And is she going to kind of like let up on the gas, or is she going to figure out how to work even if she can't pitch or things like that? So I think that was probably the defining moment, especially for me and probably especially for her. Like, I knew she had it in her, but I think it's different when an athlete gets hurt and they have to decide, am I going to keep doing this?
So I have a pitcher. She's 12. She's turned 12. And I am very much concerned about longevity. And I got boys too, and so they're like, we're really cautious about pitch counts with them. Sometimes they're not allowed to throw more than 50 pitches in a day in a tournament, or 75 for a whole tournament. But with girls, it's like, well, you've got two
rules.
pitchers, and they can throw 300 balls a day. And the concept of, the theory is that the arm movement for a female is a lot more natural, and it's not as hard on the arm. So with Kennedy, like, were you able to determine exactly what caused the injury?
I don't know that we determined
was it a
what.
work? Was it just an overwork thing? Was it a?
It probably really is an overwork thing. When she was young, when we pushed her into Utah and found a pitching coach, the idea, I mean, there wasn't like when I train athletes, I take video and I'm really trying to decipher what's going on in your mechanics. And even though I don't train pitching, I listen to Coach Rob Hales and get on phone calls and study those things anyway. And so at that time, there really wasn't video breakdown that we had access to. And so the answer to doing well for her at that time was just go pitch for an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm positive that is definitely what contributed, I would say, contributed to her hurting herself later on in her junior year, and probably mixed with like poor mechanics, because if we don't move well, and the athlete has, and we're finding now that athletes have, anatomy issues like anterior pelvic tilt that really makes it hard for them to rotate, or, what kind of scap loading can they do and things like that. So if they have, barriers to how they move, and then we just tell them go out and do this for an hour, they're probably going to get injured. And so then that's what we did. We're going to hit a spot. We literally had a pitch counter, and we'd go to 100, and if we weren't at an hour, we'd keep going. And that was the idea of like, this is how you're going to train location. And she actually really struggled. And I remember she had really bad mechanics at that time. Like her back leg would come up off the ground, and she was like, I can't figure out how to keep it down. And finally found Rob Hales, and he really helped go, okay, there's some serious mechanical things going on here. I think she had been working with him for maybe a year and a half, and then she tore her labrum. And right after she had signed to Galveston College, and had surgery and took her, and once she could like hop around and do stuff, she was in his garage doing drive drills so that she could overcome the poor mechanics that she had built in for years and years and years. And I think that takes a special kind of athlete. There are lots of athletes who will look at coaches like Rob and I and go, I'm not in for that. I don't want to do that. That's too hard.
Yeah. Yep. My wife and I talk about it all the time. If my boys don't throw the ball perfectly, or if there's something off, she's like, we got to fix that right now. And I was like, well, they've got a decade, and we can iron some stuff out. And she's like, can't.
Yeah. I don't know, like I'm good with missing, but I'm
kids.
like, oh, mechanics, like I don't want you to ruin your arm, or.
It's hard to get little children to, and then you battle with, they want to do it right, but they got to get to a place where they're just doing it naturally, and they're not thinking.
Yes.
And one of my kids is a thinker, and so he's a step behind. I'm like, dude, can you I want you to think a lot in practice, and I want you to turn your brain off during games, and let's see how that works, and it's really hard.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting. So she was able to recover from
so she recovered her senior year. I think, she had enough time.
She's still in high school.
Yeah, at that time that she tore her labrum, still in high school. By the time she headed off to Galveston, she was fully recovered, cleared to pitch, and then did well down there. And then she actually tore her anterior labrum, found out she tore it at the beginning of this fall at BYU. But it was really, really small, so she just does a ton of arm care. I think that's something that's really, really important that not enough teams do. My assistant coach and I watch it all the time. We'll go into the facility and work out with our team, and we're taking 20 minutes to do arm care and then start to throw. And we're like, they're already throwing. That's really not good. Like especially young kids, I think of young kids a lot when I work with them, and either hitting or really anything else, throwing especially. They're not in the gym every day. And so I think like most of the time their brains don't know how to like reach the muscle that they need to be using and use it well. And so if we can even do like banded iso holds or isolation stuff where we're really tapping into their scap or their glutes or hamstrings or whatever, that I think that really helps prevent injury. And then of course I think there's this notion for pitchers that if I just go throw a spot 100 times, I'm going to be able to hit that spot. And I know, and I believe, especially with pitching, that working on mechanics is where we clean everything up, and then speed will start to come. But I think it's a little bit backwards. We chase speed and location, and then we go, oh no, If we're
let's
lucky.
fix our
If we're
mechanics.
lucky, maybe we go, oh no, we've got stuff to fix, you're going to get injured.
Yeah, so if you could do it over again, you'd
So different.
throw a little less and
Yeah,
do more
we
drills.
would not be down there for an hour outside throwing 100 pitches or for an hour
Yeah.
every day. Yeah.
Are weights involved? Is she lifting?
Lifting? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When
Yeah.
did she start that?
So we were lucky enough to own a gym at home. So I'm probably pretty positive that she lifted with the basketball team, and then she started lifting when she was a freshman. We had a CrossFit gym, so she'd come in and do CrossFit and stuff like that. She started a little bit then.
Okay.
And then probably her junior, senior year really started lifting a lot.
So 15, 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too. It's really hard. I think this is another reason athletes get injured is because, we at that age, 14, 15, they're in high school. Comp ball goes, we go from end of May to, mid-November, sometimes January. Mm-hmm. And then usually open gyms start in January in high school. And then they go all the way until February and there's no break.
Yeah.
So I think, we like to ask our athletes, hey, we don't want you to pick up a ball for at least 8 weeks, 9 weeks. If we can get to 10 or 11, that's great.
Yeah.
But I think there's less lifting and more like, we just got to go, we got to keep going, or you're going to lose your skill.
Yeah.
And I just don't.
Yeah, there's a big push for kids to specialize at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
I just took my 10-year-old to 9-year-old to Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
and we got our first taste of what 9 and 10 U kids look like from California.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. Different?
They're
Same?
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
good. Yeah, they're polished. Really polished. They're, they play clean. You can tell. You're looking. We're facing kids that have racked up 30 games already
Yeah.
this year, and we're on our third.
It's a different,
And,
different beast.
Yeah, and there are advantages to it, but again, I have my mindset is always like development, longevity, and what is the best scenario? How can we create an environment where the individual can grow the right way? And the reality is like one of the reasons why I'm doing this is that I have no idea. Like I am just a dad who I played some sports, I did some stuff, but I've got a ton of questions. And most of the time I'm talking to people that are attached to a checkbook. And, it dawned on me one day, it's like, I think the parents of the kids who have played at a high level know something that a lot of these folks don't. So it's a great opportunity to have conversations like this one.
Yeah.
So what is the recruitment process for a college softball player?
So I don't know if it's different with baseball athletes. My assistant coach he was a catcher in baseball, and he has quadruplets actually, 1 girl and 3 boys.
Whoa.
Yeah. So they're all hitting the recruitment process at the same time, and he talks a lot about like we don't see near this many coaches at our events or showcases or things like that. So I do think there must be some kind of difference there, but I'm not really keen on the differences between baseball and softball recruiting. But for softball, the rule is that they can't be talked to until their junior year, like indefinitely about, programs and offers and things like that. But I am positive, if I were a betting gal, that schools like OU and OSU and BYU are looking at athletes at 14, 15 years old. That, and those athletes can go to camps and things like that. It's my opinion, I'm of the opinion that if you are waiting until you're a junior to do anything, you're way behind the 8 ball.
late.
Yeah, you're really, it doesn't mean you can't. I definitely won't sit here and say you can't go and play college, but if you're like very single, vision to D1 only, OU, OSU, even your mid-majors, it's probably not going to happen if you're waiting that long. So, if we have athletes or we see athletes who have really high skill set at 14 and 15 or 7th, 8th grade, I'm telling them it's time. It's time that you go and get in front of those coaches and just expose yourself to them. So let them see you, let them get to know you, participate in those college camps as often as you can, especially the ones that you're really interested in. That's probably, I think in softball, it's probably a little bit backwards. I think there's a little bit of like a money grab as far as showcases go. And then obviously there's your college camps that I think are probably should be prioritized even over showcases for athletes. And then you have your sporting recruit platforms like, NCSA and then sports recruits. So we do a little bit of all of that. Our athletes, when they go out to college camps, they do that on their own with their parents. But then we will schedule for showcases, and then we use sports recruits to help them, aid them in getting in front of college coaches. Very different than what it was for me 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Internet barely existed, right? Yeah. So it's, especially I think after COVID, a lot of coaches look at a lot of film. They probably feel a little bit inundated by it. But I hear a lot of things of like coaches really like to get direct emails, not necessarily, from sports recruits. Sports recruits, not that I'm here to plug them, I'm not, but it's run by the athlete. That's why we like it. So we do use those things, and then it's just on the athlete to make those college visits and get out there and put themselves out there. And I think the hardest thing for athletes in recruiting that I've seen with my own program is just the consistency of it all. So if they are, emailing and, they are a junior, senior, and they're not getting invites that they want or things like that, then I've seen athletes kind of just let up on the gas. And then it gets harder because that window starts to close. Even at the JUCO level, D1 JUCOs, I think, are usually trying to have their athletes signed by their junior year if they can. Not all. Some JUCOs, like Indian River, it seems like they have the luxury of waiting to see as many athletes as they want. But on our end, that's what we focus on.
So how did Kennedy find BYU? How did BYU find them?
Kind of a really interesting pathway, I guess, not normal. When she was playing with Colorado Bombers, they knew that she wanted to go and play at the highest level. So her dream school was OU or schools like that, OSU. But they kind of just told her, hey, we don't think that's an option. You're too late to the game. She went and visited Kearney in Nebraska and liked it, but not quite enough. Wanted to get out of the cold. And then ended up getting picked up by Galveston through sports recruits right away. Didn't even make a visit. I don't suggest that. But we didn't make a visit. She signed, was offered a full ride, went down there, and it was hard for her. I think, once you get those elite athletes together, it just becomes really challenging, and they have a lot of lessons to learn, not just in ball, but communication and things like that. And so she played there for a year and then decided, she went to a collegiate league that happens in Austin, I think. She's been doing it for she'll probably do it again this summer. But I guess it's really well known to college coaches, and they'll go down there and pick girls out of the portal. And so that's how Coach Eakin and Pete Meredith found her, was she was playing in that league. And one of the coaches that ran it, Sarah Polly is her name. Pete Meredith played with her dad. And so I think Pete Meredith and Coach Eakin called Sarah Polly and said, hey, I heard you have 2 pitchers down there. I'm really interested in looking at them, and then flew out there and watched her. So a very backdoor path. And I think that's really important for athletes to remember, to not be, we say it all the time, it's almost like cliche to say don't be D1 or bust, but there are a lot of really, really good schools who are JUCO, very high level JUCO schools, where they can go and play and work themselves up to playing at a higher level if that's what they want.
Well, and the interesting, I think especially with baseball, if it's not counting against their eligibility at the D1 level with the recent change, it's like a lot of these boys coming out of high school, they're not ready. They're not ready.
And I would say the same for...
They're not developed.
Yeah, I would say the same for high school athletes as well. I think it's very rare.
So it's a great path to go JUCO and work some stuff out. If you don't have the chance to go D1 right away.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of college coaches look for. We're looking for an athlete that's like can handle the lifting regimen, can handle the practice regimen, is self-sufficient, self-driven, and can handle, not just handle, but do really well in school. And she's always been all of those things. Those things haven't been really hard to her and for her. So, but there are plenty of schools. Like we have an athlete that was at Weber High, and she's going to graduate high school with almost her associates, and she had no business going to a JUCO. So really, it's really important, I think, to figure out where they are academically and what they need. And she ended up at Asbury State and is loving it.
Yeah.
And they're super competitive up there too. And that educational piece should be the end all be all. Educational piece, where they're living and are they happy? Because the last thing I want from my girls or any of my athletes is to call mom or dad or me and go, I'm so miserable. Right. Things are going really bad. I'm either leaving, which is okay, like we can change our minds, but sometimes it gets to the point where the athlete's like, I'm gonna delete myself, and that's terrifying.
So you and I, it's an interesting, as we're talking, I should have known this, but as we're talking, I'm sitting here being like, all right, you helped your kid transition into college. You're coaching 18U, and so you're helping lots of girls figure this out.
We're going on our 6th year for our program, 6th or 7th, I always forget. And I think we've helped, so the fun thing that we get to say, and it's not just me, it takes a lot of their hard work, but 100% of the athletes that have wanted to go and play in college, we've been able to sign that have played for us. So that pans out to be almost 20 athletes. So I think we were at like 18 the last time I checked. And some of those athletes were athletes that came onto our team and said, I don't want to play in college. I just want to finish out my senior year or my junior and senior year and have a blast. I know what I'm committing to be on your team. I'm committed to the girls that do want to go and do that. And then they get picked up when we're at a showcase. And, that happened with an athlete that ended up going to Dawson Community College. And the coaches were like, we really like you. We want you to come play for us. And she did. She stayed there for 2 years and really enjoyed it. So, it's fun it's neat to say that. And I think, for the athletes that want to do that, that's a portion of what we're trying to do. But, more than anything, helping young women be good adults, good, citizens and teammates. I think that's really big, and a lot of times can be lost on them and lost on coaches. And helping them learn how to manage relationships, I think that's also really important. Because they might be the best athlete, but if they go out and get it, OU, BYU, or Galveston, and they don't know how to manage relationship when things get hard, athletes want to leave.
Well, yeah, and you can pay attention to collegiate sports. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that where you go, man, the interpersonal communication skills or the ethic piece was missing, and that had a huge negative impact on your overall success as an athlete. Yeah, so it's huge.
I do think she's had, both at Galveston and at BYU, opportunities to learn how to communicate. And I think that's really important. And as a parent, I don't think that's probably one of the most important things we can train our athletes to learn how to do, to not step in for them. Yeah. And I think, at a young age, it's important to say, okay, there's a problem, we're going to support you. Let's, you talk to the coach, we're going to stand behind you and support you. We did that with her, even at 16, because it's scary to talk to an adult, but it's so important for them to learn how to communicate. And if they don't communicate, things we've seen with her is like, if you don't communicate, you create your own narrative in your mind. Sure. And most often we're wrong. So, but she's learned some good lessons being there at Galveston, and it's taken some time, but I think she's learned some good lessons in that way.
She's a junior?
Yeah.
A junior, okay.
Yeah.
She's got a few more years?
Yeah. She really is like, man, I want to start a family. Yeah. She hasn't found the right guy yet, but that's something she really longs for. So I don't imagine that she'll go into pro. And I don't, even if she wanted to, I'm kind of like, can your body handle it? Just because she's previously torn her posterior labrum and then tore her anterior labrum. And it's hard. It's, especially as a pitcher, like, I don't know how many people know this, but baseball, you guys have pitch counts. We don't. Yeah. So I do think it's less often in college for a pitcher to pitch 100 pitches in, a game or over 100. But like at the high school level, we're seeing athletes, I watched a game the other day and pitcher was 140 plus pitches in the 7-inning game. If you do that every day or 3 days a week, that becomes really, really hard. I don't know if she'll.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to navigate. I look at my kid and I go, like in high school, it's on a comp team, you're going to have 3 pitchers. And with 3 pitchers, you can go play 7 games in a weekend. But in high school, it's like they don't need 3. And so you really got to figure out how bad you want to pitch.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah,
you want to do that in high school.
Because like perfect world for us on my 18U team, I'm like, I want 4 or 5 pitchers, so we can go deep. And if we have an injury, then we can handle that. But yeah, I think it's rare.
Was work ethic for your kids? Was it learned? Was it inspired? Was it did they come out just working hard and having that drive?
I would say both. Like my family is really hardworking, kind of jack of all trades. My husband's a helicopter pilot, but before that, when we were first married, we did newspapers for years and years and years. My kids and I and my husband would get up at 3 a.m. on Sundays and fold the Sunday newspaper and go and deliver it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I do think some of that's learned, and we constantly try to put them in a position where you want something, great. We're not going to just give it to you. Yeah. You're not going to just get given it because we can, and oftentimes we couldn't, but I think that's a really good trait for the kids to learn, is to have a little skin in the game, and if you want something, you're going to work hard for it.
I've read all sorts of things and listened to all sorts of things and watched all sorts of things that say, well, it's got to be the kid's journey. It's the kid's journey, it's the kid's journey, it's the kid's journey. Parents got to stay out of it.
Yeah.
And I throw my kid into comp ball at 8 years old. He gets yelled at by a couple coaches and strikes out 48 times, and he goes, this is horrible. Like, the last thing I want to do is play baseball. Yeah. And so I'm sitting here going, well, it's got to be his thing, but he has no idea how good it is. He has no idea how good it can be. Like, it's my job to create an environment where he can fall in love.
Right.
Once he falls in love, or he does or he doesn't, but if he falls in love, then he can decide. Then I can paint a picture and say, dude, if you want to take this somewhere, this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it does have to be, at some point, it does have to be your journey, but I'm probably nudging you a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm probably reminding you to get off the couch and, hey, last week in this game, you really wanted to, this thing happened and you screwed up here and we need to work on those things, right? I don't know any kid who's like, without a little bit of nudging,
getting out and
going out and digging the ditch, whatever you want to call it, and working on those things. And so my wife and I have wrestled with it a lot, where it's like, well, we don't want to force her. I've got a kid that really wants to be amazing on the mound. And I've told her a million times, like, you become a championship player on Tuesdays in the backyard. But Tuesdays in the backyard, well, all your friends are over.
It's boring.
And the last thing she wants to do is, throw a bunch of reps or do a bunch of drills. So I'm personally right now, and my kids don't need to play D1. That's never been my goal. It's not my objective.
Yeah.
I'm trying to raise humans and develop great people.
Yes.
And sports is a fantastic avenue to do that. But if we're going to do this thing, like, let's try and be good at it and see what happens. But I'm personally watching my kids cautiously going, that one really likes it. That one's almost in love with it. That one's still trying to figure out whether or not he just wants to go to his buddy's house. And as a parent, it's like, my whole entire life is baseball and softball.
Yeah.
It is between 3 kids, and I got a 5-year-old that's like, Dad, I want my own team. I'm like, ugh. All the other kids started T-ball at 4. I'm like, T-ball's a waste of time for you, Timmy. You've been playing wiffle ball your whole life. So you can start when you're 8. Maybe 10. I don't know. We'll see. But it's a whirlwind. But that is the one thing that's really, I'm really paying attention to is I'm pushing my kids and opening up opportunities, and I feel like it's really important that I match their interest because we can wear a kid out. Or we cannot feed the fire enough.
They can get to a point where like they never love it. And it's interesting, as you were talking, I was thinking back to like when I was a kid and like why did we play sports, right? I'm a 80s kid, born in 1981, and like, why did we play sports? Half the time, if we weren't playing sports, we were outside.
Yeah.
So I think it's just very different, generation of kids who have devices and then like just naturally aren't outside. That's probably the biggest thing. And then, like you said, are they having fun and how do we foster that? I think back then, at least I was, doing sports as a young kid because it was fun.
Yep.
Hey, play softball, play t-ball, whatever, it's fun. It's going to be a great experience. I don't remember anything about the experience. I don't think I started remembering anything until I was probably in 7th grade, and maybe that's because I'm old now, but fostering them having fun. And I think that's another really important thing to remember. There are a lot of really good books on this, is girls have fun differently than boys. And so if we're like super intense with young girls or female athletes, and we're like, you gotta be, do this perfectly, or we're losing control of the ball or whatever, I've seen it where it just like snowballs. But if we like celebrate them, it sounds really cheesy, but if they can be celebrated, especially at a young age, then I think that feeds the fire. And then they go, oh, wow, this is fun. And when I'm having fun, I'm doing really well. It's like when they have fun, then the good happens. That they're able to succeed and they do really well. But if we try to separate those two things for female athletes or young girls, I think it goes south really fast.
Yep. No, I relate to that a lot.
And it's hard.
And I'm thinking about all the things I need to do different.
Well, it's hard because sometimes even as female coaches, we're like, just figure it out or just do this thing.
Yeah.
And it's not always that easy,
There's just a big push for instant accountability. And I'm not I'm not an everyone gets a ribbon guy.
No.
At all. And I am big on, I've seen the difference between teams that can instill accountability and hard work at a young age and then teams that try to do it later. It's tough. It's a hard dynamic. But fun is important. And I've wrestled a lot with like, how do we want to approach this? And the thing I've realized watching my kids is like, they have fun when they're playing well.
Yeah, yes.
So they're not that, because the funnest game we had in Arizona, we lost 3-2.
Yeah, they're the tight games where your like heart is like up in your throat.
And I felt like we won. That's a moral victory. I do a lot of moral,
moral
victories.
Those are the games that we see our athletes grow the most. We're like, oh my gosh, we're fighting it out, duking it out with this team that's really, really good. And we grew and we held it to one score.
So having fun at a young age isn't being like, it's all about fun. It's really like, if you play the game well, making plays is fun. There's not a single kid that catches a pop fly in the outfield that doesn't have a massive grin on his face. Or if he hits a ball over the infield's head, he's on cloud 9. So I've wrestled around with it a bunch. And so learning the game properly from my experience and playing well, making plays, hitting the ball, striking a kid out, that's what fun is. Well, it turns out, if you do all those things really, really well, you end up winning.
Yeah.
We put a big emphasis on the end thing. When the reality is, we got to teach the young kids how to do the sport. Yeah,
and I think it's really important too to think about like who defines well at the age of 8.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what does that mean? Because if we train our kids, not that we don't want a ribbon. I don't want my kids to just get something because they didn't earn it. But who defines good, or like that was such a great play, regardless of what happened at age 8, like something that's so important in our organization, or especially with my team, is I need athletes who are not afraid, and I think it's so easy with young kids when they fall short of something to be like, oh, you didn't try, or whatever. And I've had conversations with our coaches that run our other teams, and they're like, they won't even try to like catch a pop fly, or it's like in no man's land between left field and shortstop, and they won't even try. And it always comes back to, do you think there's ever an instance recently where either your whole team or some of your athletes who are not trying have been embarrassed, have felt stupid, have maybe given effort, and there was yelling involved afterwards, right? And so, and it's luckily in our program we have really good coaches who are really willing to like turn the mirror on themselves and go, oh yeah, that did happen, you know. But that's when we have the conversations of we have to celebrate the misses. We have to not protect them from things that are hard or failure, but like allow them to feel that. I honestly think we need to have them feel failure in our practices, so that they don't go out in a game and freak out. Or, you know, I went to the NFCA convention and coaches were like, some college coaches were saying, shame on us as coaches if the only place or the first place they feel failure is on the field and not here. And I'm kind of like that. I'm kind of like, oh, it's okay. Or one more, because I want you to feel good when you walk out the door. Yeah. But I don't think that's helpful to them. And it kind of felt like a 2x4 to my face, you know, like, oh, that's really true. I don't want them to feel bad. But if they don't feel some kind of failure here and don't learn to handle it here, how do they handle it on the field when things are like the lights are on and parents are cheering and the other team is cheering and sometimes parents are rowdy, you know, or whatever, they won't handle it. And then that's when we have athletes, especially young athletes, and probably more girls because that's what I'm used to coaching, who will let up on the gas and go, I'm not going to do this because last time I tried, it went real bad for me. Oh, wow. I was embarrassed, I got yelled at, you know, and things like that. And so I think it's so important to really train them, not just through words that failure is okay, but like fail hard and often. You know, when our kids are walking, we're not like, oh, you fell again, you know?
Yeah, there's a difference between mistakes out of effort.
Yeah.
And those ones are wonderful.
This is the lab where you get to grow, and we want you to give everything you have, and when you come up short, we're gonna freaking celebrate you. You know?
So you've coached for a long time. And then you just said you just let your kids go.
I tried to let them go.
Tell me about navigating when you're wearing the coach hat and when you're wearing the mom hat.
That's hard. So my middle daughter, you know, our oldest never played high school. I think that's something that's sometimes maybe a false notion, is we think that they have to play high school ball in order to get recruited. I don't think that's always true, but she never played any high school ball. She did basketball, track, and wrestling and things like that. But our junior didn't play freshman, sophomore year, or, you know, freshman, sophomore year, but now has transferred to Orem High. And so it is hard. It's always been hard, even as she like picked up for other teams, to coach and sit on the sidelines and not critique. And that's not to say like I definitely don't want anybody listening thinking, well, she thinks she knows everything, because I don't. I would prefer to say I know very little. But even now, I think as coaches, it's hard to not sit on the other side of the fence and critique everything, you know, especially it's a different beast being a pitcher's parent than even, you know, just any other of the 8 positions on the field. There's a lot of angst and anxiety, I think, that goes along with that. And that's probably because they're touching the ball more than anybody else on the field, and they have to control more, possibly. But I think it's very hard. I think it's really has to be a conscientious choice on the coach/parent of, okay, I'm gonna let go of the reins. And I think there's a lot of good that happens there. I'm not perfect at it. In fact, I had a situation I was kind of telling you about where I was like, you know, why are you doing this as a pitcher? You shouldn't be pitching here. You need to, I think you need to pound the zone in, you know, and talk to her about, we study effective velocity. And, you know, if you start early in the count and you go outside, you're going to speed up the batter's bat to the ball versus pound the zone in and hard. And kind of pressed her for some information. She's like, you don't need to be in control. But I think when I can, or as parent coaches, we can let go of the reins, then we provide opportunity for them to be coached and develop relationships with other coaches outside of ourselves. And I got to see really amazing things out of her where she opened up to the coaches and said, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think? And collaborate with those coaches because they go off to college and the same thing's gonna happen. And honestly, I don't want any of my athletes, my girls, or my comp ball athletes to call and go, I wish I had you. Well, the honest truth is you don't. So you've got to figure out how to navigate it.
Yep.
And that's true for high school ball too. You don't have us, and I'm glad that we're good coaches or great coaches for you, but you've got to figure out how to navigate who you do have, and have conversations and be there for the team and what your coaches need, and try to be on the same page.
Yep.
So it's hard, and I think it's hard for kids to see us as anything but parents too. But I think something that we did, or I try to do. I think I did it too late with Kennedy, but with Ashton, we do it. So anytime she's done playing, we get in the car, there's no ball. We don't talk about ball at all. That has to be a space where she can escape me, and especially my kids. My family is a little bit different because we live in Evanston. We would travel down, practice, so they're stuck with me on the way down in the car. We'd practice, then go back home. So we are literally in the car probably for 5-6 hours. Well, I mean, down here, that whole day, 6 hours, right? And they cannot escape me. And so that doesn't happen with any other athletes, usually not that long. I do think there are other coaches who have daughters or kids that they're coaching on their teams, but I think it's so important to, even for our own minds as coaches and parents, to go, okay, this is off limits when we get in the car, so that you're not in a position where you feel like you can't escape me.
Yeah. You have a much more robust knowledge and history with the game, but I have found with my little people that the less I say,
the better it is.
the better they are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of emotion. Like I sit there and when my kid's pitching or whatever they're catching or just playing the game up to bat, it's like, man, I feel all their feels. I get the pregame jitters. I get so jacked. I get so excited about this. And then I go, how's that little 8-year-old doing? If dad's having a hard time holding it together, he's the one out there that's gotta go do the stuff. So anyway, it's a ton of fun. I'm learning. I approached it very wrong the first few years. I think we course corrected well, and our kids are going to be okay and recover. But how did Kennedy ever want to quit? How did she deal with failure?
Oh, so many times. So many times. Both of my girls, really. I mean, quit, because she's not getting what she wants right away, or quit because it's hard, I'm injured, now where do I go from here? And I have no control over it. And it's very different from going, comp ball, starting pitcher, or bracket pitcher, to dugout, and there's nothing I can give to my team. So definitely, those were times where she wanted to quit. I think there are other times that were fleeting where she thought it would just be easier to walk away. She's a bit of a perfectionist as far as a pitcher goes, very of the mindset that if I do something once after just being shown how to do it, I should be able to do it again and again and again right after. And that was really never the case for her. So that really upset her. But, she wouldn't quit, but it was just like, that's it, I can't do this. But for us, especially as she's gotten into college has been anything but easy for her. And, that's not what we want to think of or say for our kids. And lots of conversations of, how are you with your mental health? How are you, you need to take yourself back to why you love this sport, and how do we help you do that? Getting her a sports psychologist and helping her learn, how her own self-dialogue really affects her and the narratives that she tells herself, and even things that coaches have said in the past, even things that I've said to her in the past that have really not helped her. And so helping her, try to retrain her mind, I think has probably been the biggest thing in not quitting. And then for Kennedy anyway, she's just really had to evaluate, Yes, I love the game. Yes, of course, I want to play. I want to be able to contribute to my team, but my education is just as important, and that's a great thing. And even if I'm not playing, I am contributing in some ways, whether it's standing up and cheering for my team, even if I'm not on the field. And I think there's something to be said for not giving up, for not just taking the easy path and giving up and quitting. That's not for everybody, but I know, the little time that I've lived on the earth, there will be times that will repeat situations that will repeat themselves in her life where she's going to be faced with the same decisions of like, it'd just be easier to give up. And so I'm going to walk away, whether it's relationship or schooling or a job where, it's demanding a lot of her. And I think those instances where athletes in college ball, whether it's D1 or JUCO or comp or high school, helps train them to be resilient. If they're open to it, and if as parents we go, hey, this doesn't feel good, but we see all the hard work you're putting in, and we're actually really proud of you for how resilient you are. You're not just taking the easy way out and giving up.
Yeah. If you were talking to the parents of 8 to 14-year-old kids, you've had a lot of experience with sports and softball, and what would you say to them?
Man, celebrate them. I don't think there's anything better than looking over and seeing an athlete come to their parents and so excited about the things that they did, how well they did, or just excited to tell them what they did, right? Maybe it's not amazing, but they did well, and to see their face light up, and then to see that mirrored in the parent. And to see the athlete like flourish there, I've seen the opposite of that, and the sinking almost that the athlete does when the parent of the athlete is like, that's just not good enough, And at such a young age, like none of it matters. It's just a game, and I tell that to my girls now. This is only a game. Even at the D1 level, the Power 4 level, or she's not Power 4, but Big 12. This is just a game, and your identity cannot be this. And I think that's probably so, especially with female athletes, I think we have far too many female athletes that think if this ends, that's it. That's my life. And I know Kennedy was like that. She had a coach once ask her, if this had to end tomorrow for whatever reason, who are you? And she couldn't answer the question. And that was terrifying to me because, oh my gosh. And, she's said to me since then, sometimes I wish that you hadn't introduced me to this because it's been so hard. But, just celebrate them. I think it's so important to celebrate them and provide an opportunity and a space for them to know that it's okay to fail. Not even okay, but like encouraged. Expected, This is a game of failure. And if we try to thwart that, we're single-handedly hurting them, in my opinion. And then they can't handle it later on in life.
When my son was 8.5, he was really in his own head. Surprise, surprise, right? I was a pretty excited dad, but I got in the habit of kind of taking a knee before the game, and I'd pat him on the chest, and I'd say, hey man, like, just so you know, I don't care how this goes. And I a lot of self-talk, I'm like, it doesn't matter now. Like it really, and I had to convince myself because I have pride and I've got an ego, and for some reason when my kid does something great, it reflects on me as a parent, which is not the truth, right? But that's what we believe. And so every time I did that, it was really like, I realized like, that was really good for me. It was really good for me to hear me say, dude, I don't care how this goes. So I'm finally starting to believe it. And in my mind, I'm always like, well, 8U doesn't matter, 9U doesn't matter. Like, we'll start worrying about this when it starts to matter. And just the other day, I was like, well, when is it going to start mattering? I hope that when my kid's in high school, I pat him on the chest and go, dude, I don't care how this goes at all. Or if he actually gets a chance to play at the next level. Like, we have some of the most amazing athletes, dropping routine pop flies to get eliminated from the World Series. And you go, he's a phenomenal baseball player and a great human. And I don't think it matters then either.
No. Well,
But
there's
yet
so
we
many.
we will continue to spend all our
Yeah.
money and all our time
Yeah,
in
yeah.
trying to groom these children into being athletes.
I think it's so important, that they just, I don't know, they're young. That it goes by so fast. It's actually, for my husband especially, disheartening. For us, we have, photos of our kids that pop up on our TVs and stuff, and it's kind of like, how do we get here where we have a junior in college, a junior in high school, 6th grader, and time is like literally passing us by. Yeah. And I think that's what, the longer you can be in that, the better. Because it goes by really, really fast. And I think too, like Kennedy and Ashton are very different. Kennedy started when she was 8. Ashton started when she was 13. She literally started when she was 13. She was behind the curve, but she's got offers on the table. Yeah, Trinidad and things like that. And so it doesn't mean it can't be done. And that's one of those things where I, as a coach and a parent, am like, hey, you can do whatever you put your mind to.
Yeah.
If you have support and you have people in your corner and you go to work, you can do anything you put your mind to, but it's going to take work out of you. And that's the great thing too. Outside of even my kids, we've pulled on senior athletes who have been told all their life, you won't go and play in college. Yeah. And they do. They're not in mid-majors or Power Fours, but they're going and playing in college, and they're living their dream and getting an education and things like that. Yeah. So I think the bigger message is like live in that moment, and then you can do what you set your mind to, but it's going to take work.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you chatting with me. This has been very informative.
Yeah. It's my pleasure.
RaeAnne Belnap.
Yeah.
Mother of Kennedy.
Kennedy Belnap. She plays with BYU. Yep. And then Ashton
and you're the head coach.
CEO of Allegiant Fastpitch. I coach the 18U team. And then we have 3 other teams, 16, 14, and 10U now. Okay. Great coaching staff. And I also train athletes with pro angles hitting. The major part of what I train is hitting, but I do study catching and fielding, overhand throwing for athletes, and do train baseball athletes as well. So,
okay. Yeah. Pro angles hitting.
Yep.
Website? Go online?
Not yet. Soon. We're working on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Not yet, but
Great.
soon. Yeah. Mostly Facebook.
So find you on Facebook if locals from the Salt Lake City area want some help.
Salt Lake, I coach out of Utah County and then here in Far West. So
cool.
But I can pretty much go anywhere. So.